one of the other things that came out of the discussion was each division may be doing things right, and it's our relationship to water quality. They may be thinking about new rules in different areas and things like that. It's better if we're engaged early, even as they're in a conceptualized fashion, because rolling something from a rule into implementation is a huge and complex step. It's a big issue.
All right, now we're going to move to this group. Are you the new moons? I can tell somebody has a change card.
My name is Brian Strong, and I work with State Parks, and I think that's why I was elected from my group to talk about goal number 7, which is growing DENR's visitor attractions and nurturing North Carolina's natural resources. The group's reaction to the goal was that, this is a good thing. DENR should be working on visitor attractions, encouraging North Carolina's natural resources. There's a lot of studies in this goal, which might be a good time for studies. Maybe not a good time for outlay of a lot of capital, but a good time to look at some of these studies and studies these issues. We really like the idea of the aquarium and looking at aquarium in an urban area, and a lot of folks don't get to go out to the coast, so that may be a really good opportunity to work in some of the urban areas and have an aquarium near an urban area. I think Charlotte, Raleigh, Asheville were some of the recommendations that folks thought about. In terms of our recommendations, one of the things we talked about was hiring an advertising agency to promote DENR and DENR's attractions, that we should look at promoting these as a whole, and there might be a real good opportunity to hire somebody that could do a good job of promoting these, and the ecotourism and the agro-tourism. Branding, trying to brand our attractions was one of the things. The zoos, the state parks, and all the attractions, trying to brand those for DENR. One of the ideas was recommended looking at ways to engage youth. There's been a lot of studies on that, looking at the ways that childhood obesity and some of those things, and really trying to engage that youth, especially the technology that folks are using today, and really trying to engage the youth in that. And also trying to increase low incomes. A lot of these areas are sort of out in the rural areas, trying to encourage low income into these areas. And then one of the ones, which is a recommendation about state parks and state forests working together. And one of the great recommendations there from the group was to come up with some cross-training among divisions, so folks understand what each division does and what their responsibilities are, and understanding what each mission is for each individual divisions. Implementation, we looked at partnerships, and with the Department of Agriculture, Cultural Resources, and trying to get work not just from DENR's attractions, but the whole state attractions. Looking at new technologies, again, to attract youth. And then maybe looking at a master plan, not a master plan for an individual unit, but the whole as a whole. DENR, or as maybe all the state attractions as a whole, trying to get a master plan for that. To communicate the strategy, we looked at having some public meetings, some surveys, and looking at new technology, internet, Facebook, Twitter, all those things to try to communicate that technology. Any questions? Yes?
Just more of an observation that when it talks about nurturing our natural resources, perhaps there's some thought to maybe including and sustaining natural resources, nurturing and sustaining in there, and we can pull in more aspects of DENR in that regard too. So that was just
So is that like more of an educational component or more of a...
More of a management.
Management, okay. Yes.
And talking about partnership with agriculture and cultural resources, I think an important partner when it comes to the outdoors here is the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. Mm-hmm. The
Yeah, I think that's a good one or two under the cross training. Working with the other agencies in the cross training. That's excellent.
There's one point that was raised about bringing things into the urban area.
Yes.
And I know there was a program, I don't know if it's still in the board, I don't see it much about it, but it's Young Rangers program, I think that was there.
Junior Ranger program, yeah, that's still a very active program, and I think we've expanded some of the park units that we're operating that in. I think that was trying to get, that's I think what attracted once they get to the park. The challenge we were thinking about is try to get people from urban locations out to these more rural locations. Yeah, that's great. Yes?
And I know he was talking about reaching out to youth, and I just want to mention that our division has been really lucky. We actually have had a couple of unpaid interns working with us recently that we got through NC State University. So that's probably been the silver lining in the economy lately. So if anyone's interested, feel free to talk to me about it afterwards.
How did you get all the volunteers at the fair that you all had? That was incredible.
That is Kelly Dennings. She is amazing. Yeah, but she reaches out to environmental groups all over the Triangle to get those people. She's very active on Facebook and Twitter and several other social media outlets.
Sure that.
It's been impressive. I don't know if you saw, but on the website she had before the bottle ban went into effect, she had a pledge. So she had people signing up and saying, I pledge to recycle my bottles. And she'd take a picture of them with a sign that said, I pledge to recycle my bottles. And then she'd post that online on the RE3.org website. And that was surprisingly effective. You'd be amazed. If you haven't checked out the RE3.org, you really should check it out. It's pretty amazing. And then after the ban went into effect, they're holding a sign that says, I promise to. She's gotten so much traffic on the site from doing that. Sometimes the simplest things. It's amazing what she thinks of. Okay, then let's hear from the next group, the Circles.
I'm Ron Slack from the Mooresville Regional Office of the Division of Air Quality, and we have the simple project of climate change. A few years ago, DAQ helped organize a KPAD group. I never can remember what it stands for, so I wrote it down. The Climate Action Panel Advisory Group. And what these guys did was come together and come up with ways that the state of North Carolina could, actions and things they could do to come up with a way to help with climate change. They came up with like 200 different ideas, and eventually narrowed it down to about 26 or so. And I'm not sure where that is right now, but it's out there, a plan or an organizational document. When we looked at this, we considered the reactions. This is going to be long term. Grandchildren will be involved in this one. It'll take 100 years to figure out what's actually going to happen when everything is come together and we have a large seawater rise, or do we not? Is the weather going to change drastically, or is it not? And it's going to be very political and costly. And recommendations, we looked at, if we could come up with some type of draft plan to let people know what the state of North Carolina is looking at and publish it as a draft plan. Other recommendations, relook energy and production for North Carolina. Do we need to switch do we need to move from coal to nuclear? It's